There's a secret the world's most prosperous people know but never openly reveal. It's a principle so radical, it challenges everything you've learned about money, success, and abundance. This secret isn't in business books. It's not in investment strategies. It's not in sales techniques. It's hidden in a spiritual truth few have the courage to accept. Your old self must die for money to flow naturally into your life. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract money effortlessly, while others struggle their entire lives and remain in scarcity? The difference isn't in education, connections, or luck. The difference is in vibrational frequency. As long as you cling to your limited self, to your identity of lack, of fear, of smallness, money cannot recognize you. It vibrates at a completely different frequency than yours. Florence Scovel Shinn discovered this in the 1920s, in the midst of the Great Depression, when the whole world believed in scarcity as absolute truth. While millions suffered financially, she taught that abundance was the natural state of human beings. But there was a condition. You needed to become a different person. Not improve who you are, not fix who you are. Die to who you are and be reborn as a completely new being. The old you is the one who worries about bills, who calculates whether you can or cannot afford something, who checks the bank statement with anxiety. The old you is the one who bargains with the universe, who begs for opportunities, who feels unworthy of prosperity. That you needs to cease to exist, because as long as it breathes within you, money will remain a stranger in your life. The new you doesn't chase money. The new you is a natural magnet for abundance. The new you vibrates at the same frequency as prosperity and therefore attracts it effortlessly. But this transformation doesn't happen by accident. It requires a conscious and definitive act, the decision to symbolically assassinate every identity that keeps you small. Today, you will discover how to execute this symbolic death and be reborn as a pure channel of divine abundance. You will learn why your current personality is the biggest obstacle between you and wealth. And more importantly, you will discover who you truly are when you stop pretending to be poor. What happens when you die to scarcity and are reborn into abundance will change your life forever. The law of inner transformation is simple and brutal. You cannot vibrate at two frequencies simultaneously. Either you are the being who fears lack, or you are the being who knows abundance. There is no middle ground. There is no smooth transition. There is only the death of one and the birth of the other. Your old self was built over the years by a series of beliefs, experiences, and conditioning that created a fixed identity. This identity has a name, a history, specific fears, and well-defined limitations. It presents itself to the world in a particular way and expects results based on its internal programming. When this identity thinks about money, it thinks about effort, difficulty, questionable deserving. The problem is that money doesn't respond to your current personality. Money responds to your vibrational essence. And as long as your essence is contaminated by the fears, doubts, and smallness of the old self, abundance will remain inaccessible. It's like trying to tune into a radio station on the wrong frequency. You can adjust the volume, you can move around, you can buy a better radio, but you'll never hear the music until you hit the right frequency. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that real transformation happens when you stop trying to improve your financial situation and start transforming your spiritual identity. She said that prosperity is not something you achieve, it's something you become. But becoming prosperous means ceasing to be who you always were. The old you believes in limitations. The new you knows only infinite possibilities. The old you worries about how things will happen. The new you trusts the divine process. The old you feels the need to prove your worth. The new you knows you are inherently worthy. The old you fears the judgment of others. The new you lives in total spiritual freedom. This transformation is not a gradual process of self-improvement. It is an internal revolution. It is the complete end of one way of being and the beginning of a completely new one. That's why we call it a symbolic death, because something within you truly needs to die for something else to be born. When you understand this, when you accept that your current identity is the only obstacle between you and unlimited abundance, something extraordinary happens. You stop trying to fix your financial life and start transforming your spiritual reality. And that's when the miracle of prosperity becomes inevitable. The death of the old self happens in 3 distinct stages, and each one will test your determination to become prosperous. The first stage is recognition. You need to squarely face all the ways your current identity sabotages your abundance. How many times have you caught yourself saying you can't afford something? How many times have you felt guilty spending money? How many times have you felt unworthy of receiving more than you have? Each of these reactions reveals a deep belief of the old self. And these beliefs are not just fleeting thoughts. They are the energetic structure of your financial identity. They determine how you behave, how you position yourself in the world, how you vibrate when it comes to money. The old you is afraid to ask for what you're worth. The old you feels guilty for wanting more. The old you believes you have to suffer to deserve. The second stage is renunciation. It's not enough to recognize the limitations of the old self. You need to consciously renounce them. You need to say no to the identity that keeps you small. You need to refuse to continue being the person you've always been. This means abandoning stories you tell about yourself, abandoning excuses you use, abandoning the comfortable feeling of being a victim of circumstances. Renunciation is painful because the old self will resist. It will show you all the reasons why you should remain cautious, limited, small. It will remind you of all the times you failed, all the times you were rejected, all the times money was scarce. It will make you believe it's safer to remain as you've always been. The third stage is rebirth. When you truly renounce the old self, an empty space opens within you. And in that empty space, a new identity can emerge. An identity that is not afraid of prosperity. An identity that feels naturally deserving of abundance. An identity that vibrates at the same frequency as money. This rebirth is not a fantasy or a positive visualization. It is a real transformation of your energetic structure. You literally become a different person. And because you have become a different person, your financial reality has no choice but to transform as well. The question is, do you have the courage to die to be reborn prosperous? Now it's time to look in the mirror of truth and see exactly who you need to stop being. Your old self has a specific energetic signature when it comes to money. And as long as you carry that signature, abundance will remain out of your reach. Who is this person you need to symbolically kill? It's the one who looks at the price before looking at the product. It's the one who feels a knot in their stomach when the credit card bill arrives. It's the one who is afraid to invest in themselves because it might go wrong. It's the one who feels guilty for wanting more when others have less. This person within you has an unhealthy relationship with money. For them, money is stress. For them, money is scarcity. For them, money is something that must be earned with blood, sweat, and tears. And as long as this person is in charge of your life, you will continue to live on the frequency of financial struggle. How many times have you sabotaged yourself when you were about to receive more money? How many times have you rejected an opportunity because you felt you didn't deserve it? How many times have you lowered your price because you were afraid to ask for what you're truly worth? How many times have you chosen the security of mediocrity instead of the risk of greatness? All these choices come from the old self. All these decisions are made by the identity that needs to die. Because this identity cannot recognize that you are a divine being disguised as human. It cannot accept that abundance is your spiritual inheritance. It cannot vibrate at the frequency of prosperity because it has been programmed to vibrate at the frequency of lack. The old you is afraid of what others will think if you get rich. The old you believes that money corrupts. The old you feels you don't know how to handle abundance. The old you prefers to complain about lack rather than take responsibility for creating prosperity. Today you need to make a definitive decision. Will you continue to be this person who has a complicated relationship with money? Or will you become someone completely new? Someone who lives in the naturalness of abundance. Someone who receives money as they receive air to breathe. Someone who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone because they know who they are. The choice is yours. But know that as long as you protect the old self, it will continue to protect you from the prosperity that is your divine right. When the old self completely dies, something extraordinary happens. A new identity is born that has no history of scarcity, no memory of limitation, no programming of fear. This new identity is who you truly are when you stop pretending to be small. It is your prosperous self, your abundant self, your magnetically attractive self for money. The new you doesn't think of money as a limited resource. For the new you, money is energy in motion. It is divine abundance in physical form. It is a natural reflection of your high vibration. The new you doesn't worry about where the money will come from because you know you are a natural channel of prosperity. When you need it, money appears. When you desire it, opportunities manifest. This new identity has a completely different relationship with self-worth. The new you doesn't negotiate with yourself about how much you're worth. You don't lower your price to please. You don't feel guilty for receiving abundantly. You are not afraid to ask for what you deserve. The new you knows that you are a divine instrument of prosperity and therefore charges according to your essence, not your fears. The new you also has a different body language. You walk like someone prosperous. You speak like someone prosperous. You make decisions like someone prosperous. Because you are not playing a role or pretending to be rich. The new you is prosperous in essence, regardless of your current bank balance. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that when you truly become prosperous within, the outer world has no choice but to reflect that prosperity. Because you are no longer emanating a vibration of lack. You are no longer signaling to the universe that you live in scarcity. You are radiating pure abundance, and money recognizes that frequency instantly. The new you has no desperate hurry or financial anxiety. You have the confident patience of someone who knows they are aligned with the divine flow. You don't force situations. You don't beg for opportunities. You simply exist in the frequency of prosperity, and prosperity naturally comes to you. This transformation is not a superficial personality change. It is a spiritual revolution. It is discovering that you have always been prosperous, but were disguised as poor. It is remembering that abundance is your original nature, not something you need to conquer. When you become this new person, money stops being a problem and becomes a natural consequence. And then you understand that it was never about money. It was always about who you choose to be. Now is the time to execute the symbolic death of the old self and give birth to your new prosperous identity. This is not a mental exercise. It is a ritual of transformation that will alter your vibrational frequency forever. For the next 7 days, you will practice the decree of death and rebirth. Every day, upon waking, you will stand before the mirror and declare the official death of your old financial self. Look into your own eyes and say with absolute conviction, I declare dead the person who was afraid of prosperity. I declare dead the person who felt unworthy of abundance. I declare dead the person who believed in limitation. Pause. Breathe deeply. Feel the relief of releasing this identity that never served you. Then continue. I am now born as a pure channel of divine abundance. I am born as someone who receives money naturally. I am born as someone who vibrates at the frequency of infinite prosperity. But the decree is just the beginning. During these 7 days, you need to act as the new person you are becoming. This means making decisions that the old you would never make. It means asking for what you're worth. It means investing in yourself without guilt. It means refusing opportunities that vibrate with scarcity. It means choosing abundance in every small decision of the day. When the old self tries to resurrect with its fears and limitations, you will repeat the decree as many times as necessary, because this new identity needs to strengthen, needs to consolidate, needs to become more real than the old one. On the 7th day, you will perform the ritual of consolidation. You will write a farewell letter to the old self, thanking it for everything it tried to protect you from, but making it clear that its services are no longer needed. Then you will burn this letter and officially declare that you have been reborn as a prosperous being. From that moment on, any thought of scarcity that crosses your mind will be immediately recognized as an echo of the dead. You will no longer identify with limitation because you will know that you are no longer who you were. This ritual works because it forces you to viscerally experience the difference between being poor and being prosperous. And when you experience this difference at the identity level, your external reality has no choice but to adjust to the new frequency. Are you ready to kill who you were and be born as who you truly are? Something fundamental has changed within you as you absorb this message. You are no longer the same person who began listening to this truth. The old self that feared prosperity has already begun to dissolve. The new identity that naturally attracts money has already begun to emerge. You now understand that it was never about financial strategies or manifestation techniques. It was always about who you choose to be. And today you have chosen to be someone who lives in the naturalness of abundance. Someone who doesn't need to convince the universe that they deserve prosperity, because they know that prosperity is their essence. The old you died the moment you accepted that your current identity was the only obstacle between you and unlimited wealth. The new you was born the moment you decided to stop clinging to familiar limitations and embrace unknown greatness. Now you vibrate at a completely different frequency. When you think about money, you no longer feel anxiety. You feel anticipation. When you see an opportunity, you no longer feel fear. You feel recognition. When someone offers prosperity, you no longer feel unworthy. You feel at home. This transformation that has happened within you will be reflected in your external reality in ways that will surprise you. Opportunities will appear. Money will flow. People will seek you out. Not because you forced or manipulated, but because you have become a natural magnet for abundance. Florence Scovel Shinn was right when she said your old self must die for the new to attract money. You proved it today. You executed that symbolic death and were reborn as a prosperous being. If this message awakened something deep within you, leave a comment sharing your most impactful moment. Like this video if you felt your vibrational frequency rise. Subscribe to the channel to continue receiving truths that transform identities. Share with someone who needs to discover who they truly are when they stop pretending to be poor. You are no longer who you were when you started watching this video. You are now a conscious channel of divine abundance. You are the living expression of prosperity. You are the new you that attracts money as you attract breath. The transformation is complete. The new prosperous life begins now. So it is. So it shall be. Amen.